All right, you're asking for it, so here it is. Listen to this.
I want you fucking laughing at. We partners pod, kid. You understand? We in here drinking, singing, all that shit, dog. Get sweating, get wet.
All right, welcome to the 155th episode of the Drinking Partners Podcast. Yes, this is our Dikembe Mutombo episode because, like Mutombo, we hold it down in the paint. We hold it down for our team. It's not the most luxurious or sexy job, but we do it for ourselves and for the city. You know what I mean? And like our guest, he's in the paint too. So yeah, that's an analogy I came up with on the ride here. It's good to have that athlete in mind when I show up, because I'm telling y'all, a lot of times we sitting here and I'm trying to figure out who the hell I'm gonna talk about. I am half of your hosting tandem, Ed Bailey. I'm joined as always with my co-host, Dave Bracey. Say what up to the people.
What's good with you people? We are the Drinking Partners, and if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod, man. 155 episodes we've been asking y'all. We can continue to ask y'all. Please hop on iTunes, rate and review. That's how we know we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well. And that's how we continue to do well. So please hop on iTunes, rate and review.
Hey, you love us. You see us in public. You tell us you love us. Now, at the click of a button, please tell the internet, tell the world, man. And always, you know, and Buzzy snapping pictures. And as always, and our guest took heed, in lieu of rates and reviews, we do accept shots of Henny. Shout out to Car Guy DJ and the Conways for setting the trend. Shout out to Car Guy DJ. He came to the night of Epic Comedy last night. Day, you pouring a lot of Hen over there, so it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a rough one. But yeah, I mean, and if you leave a review, you know, on our page, we will read it, or you have the possibility of us reading it. Like this review here from Go Brian 37. Great host, interesting guests. You may learn a thing or two about beer. Makes the commute much more enjoyable, spending it and listening to this podcast. The title of the review is hilarious. I think we are hilarious, and I'm glad that you listen to us in your cars. Well, that's dope. Yeah, man. It's weird to know that people like listen to us on their way to work. We don't.
It's weird that people listen to us. Like, we just talk to each other in a room, like in a basement. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, like, there's no outside like interaction with
unless
anybody.
We had a live stream. Like when the live stream is going, we kind of get something back. But like today, we're just talking into the atmosphere, or what they would call space. I don't believe in space, as our devout listeners know. So
we all live in a vacuum, according to Ed. Oh man, but I mean, speaking of Epic Night, man, that was, you know, want to thank everybody that came out last night. Sold out first show down at Arcade. You know, so that was hella love, and you know, for what you're looking for us, we'll be back down there every third Saturday of the month. Yep. And the next one will be February 17th. We got Conkle headlining that.
Okay, Jeff Conkle.
And PA Libations coming through.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I'm trying to really kill my liver.
You know how
and see, we did the KDKA interview, and I'm like trying to be all professional. I had a suit on. I'm trying to promote the cast, and all day wants to focus on is drinking. I'm like, no, we don't just drink. But then now I'm looking at our schedule, and like, now we drinking Henny. We got PA Libations sponsoring the show. Like, maybe we do drink a lot.
Did you see what happened? Like, yo, Mindful came through with the drop bear. It was a
shout out to
10%
Mindful.
juicy double IPA, Australian Imperial Pale Ale. It was.
I'm surprised you remember what it was. I just remember it was drop bear and it was 10%, and I remember waking up and being like, "Damn, I had some 10%." last night.
Yeah, because it drinks like a 6. You know what I mean? Like you can just and that's why they call it a drop bear, because that motherfucker drops down on you. So shout out to Mindful for coming through, and like I said, February 17th we'll be back at Arcade with Jeff Conkle headlining, and PA Libations coming through with the drinks. You know what I mean? BYOB as always. And if you're looking for tickets, that's at Arcade Theater, arcadecomedytheater.com.
All right. And then February 24th, we'll be at Comtra Theater.
As always.
So get your tickets. You know what I mean? As always, it's BYOB. We're bringing the funny. Comtra Theater .ticketly. All right, I got it. That boy trying to with the red dot. Now we also want to we have an event February 10th with Farm to Table called For the Love of Pittsburgh. I said only one time I was gonna Cleveland that, but I just like doing that.
It fits, man.
Well, we got blown out last night, so I'm trying to bring my feelings back up about the city like right now. So
yeah, it's tough, especially with the Pirates doing what they doing. But that's a whole nother conversation. But for the love of Pittsburgh, man, February 10th from 3 to 7 p.m. Down at the August Wilson Center, and tickets are only $25 now. This is a dope ass event. We're going to be down there podcasting. You'll catch us down there doing that live. And then there's a VIP option from 2 to 3 p.m. Called Share the Love, and this portion of the event will include attendees' ability to give $100 of the $150 ticket back to organizations in Western PA that focus on hunger. Groups to be invited will include Grow Pittsburgh, For Good Pittsburgh, 412 Food Rescue, Community Kitchen Pittsburgh, Black Urban Gardeners, Just Harvest, and the North Hills Community Outreach. So you get a $150 ticket. $100 of those dollars go back to help those organizations in the area. And they're currently looking for some folks. I mean, so if you're trying to be a part of this, the programming will be led or directed by Black artists, chefs, farms, and other interested parties. So if if you fit into that and you're interested in being a part of the programming down there on February 10th at the August Wilson Center, hit up Farm to Table, man. FarmToTablePittsburgh.com.
No, don't look at me for any. I don't. I think it's either a .net or an .org. So just try all three.
Google Farm to Table.
That, you know what? That's basically what you do.
Farm to Table
Google
Pittsburgh.
them. It'll come up. Come have a good time for a good cause. I think that's basically how I would sum it up. Come have a good time for a good cause. We'll be there trying to usher a great time. But it's
FarmToTablePA.com.
All right. There you go. There you go. And Buzzy's gonna edit all that.
True.
He's gonna mix that. He's gonna put the whole spin in the mix. It's gonna be like that never happened.
FarmToTablePA.com. Get your tickets, man. $25 to get in the door. $150 if you want to support a good cause. And if you're a Black artist, chef, organization, you want to be a part of the programming on February 10th at the August Wilson Center, hit up FarmToTablePA.com.
All right. And to keep with the theme of positivity, this is a positive day. I want to just say today is the 1-year anniversary of my car accident. I am still alive. I'm still drinking Henny. I'm still here, and I'm happy to be here with my guys. So, hey, shout out to everyone who supported me, who has reached out, who's shown concern, all of that, man. Like this last year has actually been a good year for me. Like, it's, after everything that happened, just to come out to all that love and support, had the benefit, had the show at the Improv, we doing the Epic Night of Comedies, meeting all these people just around the city. Like, it helped in my recovery. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's listening, who has been listening and has been supportive. And I guess with this support and positive thing, we had to have a positive guest on today. Yeah, I mean, we had, and this is a personal episode for me because I've seen this guy, from when he was a freshman at the University of Pittsburgh, and I've seen that growth, that development. It's really, young boy. Yeah. See, he used to say young boy. Now in his political life, he can't say young boy. Although I feel like you could throw a young boy in an address to a crowd. But he's now running for the state as a state rep for the 19th district in Pittsburgh, and Buzzy's gonna redo all of that. So state representative candidate, 19th district in Pittsburgh, personal friend. We got Aerion, Abney in the building. Say what up to the people.
What's going on, good people? How y'all feeling today? Thank you for having me on the show. Definitely appreciate it. 155 episodes in, going strong. Much respect to y'all. I think I saw 2 years in a row Pittsburgh City Paper top podcast. You know what I mean? So
thank you.
That's a big deal. So I'm grateful and honored to be on the show.
That
Appreciate
is the
it.
best what up to the people we've had. You just set the bar high.
This man.
That's a big deal, man.
Goddamn politicians, they come ready. They come ready. They be having all they facts in order.
I didn't know I had to be on my D's this Sunday.
I did see though the first one that y'all were in first, and then the last one, I think the second one y'all were in like second or third. But I do say that they can't give LeBron James the MVP every year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't always
See,
do it every year,
okay,
but
now he done got my vote.
But much respect to what y'all doing, man. This
Oh,
is a
man.
great platform, man.
Well, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
God damn. Now I feel like shit. We got to bring you on every week.
Like,
Now we bring Aerion on every week. We now have we've introduced a third drinking partner. He done came through with the Henny and the facts.
Well, you know, I don't like to come empty-handed. You know what I'm saying? I hate when you go to a cookout or a barbecue or somebody's party and you show up and they don't bring nothing, right? Especially if you put like a list out.
Yeah.
Like, I need this, and they still come up empty-handed, right? So I know you always say in
That's
Lewood,
a sore spot for Day. You gonna start a
Or
a rant over there.
I do. Like I appreciate. I'm fortunate enough that I do have friends at the end, and they bring. I always have more at the end of it, man. Like, but I can't stand somebody just show up empty-handed. That's just
me neither, man. That's just rude. That's rude.
It is.
So I think brought y'all a little something.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate that it is Hennessy that you brought.
Although
Again,
I'm just drinking water. So
well, yes. Well, we won't promote drinking on your behalf on this episode. Maybe we'll meet up somewhere, at a later date in a more casual situation. But just to get into, so what was the origin of your political aspirations? Like, how did that come about?
So, I always tell people this story that I'm really a social worker at heart. You know what I'm saying? So my educational background is in social work, just because for me, helping people is like the only thing I know how to do, right? Well. Right. And so I had an experience when I was in my program at school, social work at Pitt. I was in a 2-year program. I was in my second semester of my first year. And it was 2011. Governor Corbett, the Republican governor, most people remember, he had just gotten elected governor. And as every governor does in like January, February of every year, they give their budget for the state of Pennsylvania and determine what the taxes are being spent on and all across Pennsylvania, right? And so in one of his budget proposals, he had cuts to higher education, right? The institutions. And so for me, it was like this wake-up call. It was like God wiped the crust out of my eyes to realize that like this person who doesn't know me, who doesn't have a connection to me, who doesn't understand what my challenges and my plights are, that there's people like this every day who are making decisions about my everyday quality of life, right? And I didn't really felt like I had any say in it, right? So I realized that somebody that was graduated from Pitt the year before me, got the same degree, I was paying more money than them to get that same degree if my tuition went up because of his decision. And it was like a light bulb went off on me, for me, and it was like,
just went off on me.
And it was like, I got to figure out how I can either be at the decision-making table when stuff like that happens, or as close to the decision-making table as I possibly can to influence it for people like me. And so I was very fortunate to come back that second year and finish and get my degree, obviously. But what I realized when I came back that second year, and I had to have an honest conversation with my parents that summer, was like, the tuition's going to go up, may not be able to afford to go back, but the last minute we got a loan. Right. But when I came back, there was people who weren't in those same seats with me that first year. And I reached out to them on Facebook like, yo, what's going on? What's happening? Why you ain't come back to school? And they same thing. They said I couldn't afford it. My tuition went up. So these are people who still have to pay off the loans that they had, but now they don't have their master's degree to be able to show for it. So for me, it showed me that politics is so influential on everybody's everyday quality of life, that as a social worker, that I have an opportunity at a macro level to push forth policies that are actually going to benefit people as opposed to actually negatively impact them. So that was kind of my wake-up call to realize that, I couldn't be always on the outside yelling and screaming and complaining. Sometimes you need people on the inside as well. Right. You need people on the inside and the outside.
Got to get active.
Yeah,
if you want
absolutely.
change, you got to get active. And just hearing how you decided to get into it, I would hope that, and maybe you can speak more to most people who are running for office of any sort, and on a large level or on a local level, do they have like a backstory similar to that, to where they have a personal investment in what's going on, as opposed to I'm pursuing this as a job, or I got political aspirations, like trying to play the game, or are they really trying to help like that? And I guess, well, yeah, let's answer that. So what have you seen in your experience?
Well, I think you get a mix of both. Okay. But I think if you're going, if anybody, and I give this advice to people who are interested in politics, it's like, don't go into it with the wrong intentions. Right. Don't go into it if you don't really want to help people, because at the end of the day, people can see through that. You know what I'm saying? People can tell if you're genuine or you're disingenuous. At the end of the day, I got a master's degree, I got experience, I worked in philanthropy, I worked in politics before. But when I'm talking to everyday casual people, they don't care about that stuff. They don't care about that experience, that background. And, people don't care about what you know until they know that you care. And when you can show them that you actually care about them, then they actually want to give you support. They're going to vote for you. They're going to back you. So if you're going into politics for the wrong intentions because you want to have a name recognition, or you want to have a title, or you want to have some type of fame, that you're going into it for the wrong reasons.
So, and that's I like the way you phrased it. You said you wanted to be as close to the table, you know what I mean, and like influence that, you know what I mean, in some regard. And you see it like, we try to use, our voice, you know what I mean, to try to push various issues and get like the word out or whatever. A lot of the backlash that you hear is that, like voting doesn't matter. You know what I mean, a lot of people feel so far removed and they don't have the understanding of that. Like, you saw this happening. Right. I mean, you had the knowledge to see that coming, and like, I mean, look, some folks can't piece that together. They're not even, I mean, a lot of them aren't even in college. It's not even a thing that, Right. So how do you reach them? How do you get them interested, or, active in that? I mean,
well, for me too, it was a lived experience. So right. it happened to me personally. Mm-hmm. I realized it happened to me personally, so I had to do something about it. But, one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard was, the way to gain a reasonable right to something is not by voluntarily throwing it away. That was W.E.B. Du Bois. So when people say, I don't want to vote because my vote doesn't matter, if you actually want change to happen in your community and you're complaining about certain things, you don't give away that opportunity and that right to actually make some impact and make some change. And being able to come out and vote, that's an opportunity to determine, because at the end of the day, you're the boss, right? So people don't always look at elected officials. They're working for you. Like, they're your employee. You're the boss. You get to hire and fire them with your vote. And so it's about organizing people, letting people know that, hey, this person's track record, and look at their voting history, or look at, the type of special interests that are influencing them to do things that aren't in your best interest. Like, once people have that knowledge and that awareness leads to the action, and then action leads to the results that you actually want. But it's about just getting people to understand that somebody's making a decision, whether they like it or not. Somebody's making a law, a rule, a regulation. We all have to live according to those things. Somebody's making that decision for you. If you don't like the decision, you know what you got to do. Either you step up and you run for office, right? So anybody can run for office, or you find somebody that you actually believe in. You get support behind them, and they run for office. But if somebody's not representing your interests, you have an opportunity with your vote and to put pressure on your elected officials to do what you want them to do. Because at the end of the day, you hire and fire these people, and sometimes people don't understand their own power. And so part of my job is bringing awareness to them, to empower them to say, hey, if somebody's not doing what you need them to do, here's your opportunity to get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, I think we should push that narrative of being able to hire and fire. I think more people would get invested if they felt like, yeah, I could fire somebody. Now, maybe they would do it for the wrong, maybe they voting for the wrong reasons at that point, but at least they voting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I vote to fire somebody or to keep them. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I vote. Like, if you ain't doing what I told, I want you to do.
I fired somebody.
Yeah.
but look at it this way, and even in our everyday jobs, how often does our boss or somebody who's over us, do they only check in with us once every 4 years? Right. So you have maybe maybe a staff meeting once a month or once a week, or you have a yearly review. Right. And so what is it good to us as everyday people to only check in with our elected officials once every 4 years or once every 2 years when it's election season? Because the reality of it is there's a difference between campaigning and governing. During campaigning, people tell you what you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? So they get you excited about that piece of it. Once they actually get into office, it's a whole different story. So you have to actually watch what happens and what decisions they make when they're in office, and you hold them accountable according to that. You know what I mean? And so you need to constantly check in with them, just like a boss would do with their employee on a regular basis.
So you're saying if elected, we could send you weekly check-ins, like weekly coaching. Like, where are your numbers this week, Mr. Adams?
Hold me accountable. For me in my campaign, it's about renewing the lines of accountability between the people and elected officials that they're supposed to be representing. I think a lot of times what happens is people get in these offices and they get real comfortable, especially when they're for so long, that they start to take the job for granted, and they're not accountable to the people that they're supposed to be representing.
So, what would you like say like a beginner's guide to local politics, what are some advice you would give to folks who wanted to like get interested in their local? Because I mean that that has a huge impact. I mean,
Absolutely.
like it's not just the president that you're voting for every 4 years. You know what I mean? Like you got elections going on around the country like all the fucking time. I mean, and different and they're voting on different like laws and this, that, and the other as well. I mean, in between all that shit. So it's like you can't just let it go every 4 years. Right. So it's, what would you, like, again, what advice would you give somebody like that just wanted to jump in?
So the former U.S. Speaker of the House, name is Tip O'Neill. He was famously noted for saying all politics is local, right? And he was at a federal level, but he understood that all that, like how many people even know who their state rep is, or who their city council person is, or who their county council, or who their school board member is, right? And so those are the people who have more of an everyday impact of what's going on, right? So if you have an issue and say you have a pothole on your street, or your street isn't plowed, you're not going to call the president. You know what I'm saying?
So people probably think they.
I mean, you can, but he ain't going.
Trump probably get tweets like, "Hey man, fix Fifth Avenue.
This pothole." You know what I'm saying? So you got to really understand who these local elected officials are, because you have a better chance at meeting and sitting down with your city council person or your school board official and telling them how you feel than you ever will sitting down with your congressperson. Right. That's hard to do, right? But these everyday local level officials impact you, right? So I would tell people. Do your research, know who your elected officials are at a local level. But also, if you're interested in it, one, of course, do it for the right reasons. But then if you want to get into it, I would say volunteer on the campaign, kind of dip your toe in it, get that experience, get an understanding about, what it takes to actually run a successful campaign, because it's not easy. Right. People who think they can just get out there and run for office, and they don't realize the political realities of what really goes on and what happens behind the scenes. They're met with a harsh reality, right? So volunteer on the campaign, find somebody you believe in, and then see if a lot of times that opens up doors for internships, for you to become like a staff person. If that person you supported actually wins, they might bring you on full time to be a staff person. Okay. So then you get those experiences.
Oh yeah, so I guess on the local level, I guess you're more visible to people.
Sure.
How would it? I guess how do you balance that as for example, as a state rep, how do you balance the need to be visible to individuals, but also the need to live your life in a way that most people can live their lives, where you're kind of in your own shell and your own bubble away from individuals, but like people looking at you like, you are state rep, I need to know everything about you, and I see you all the time.
Yeah. How do you balance that highly public, accessible life with
living life like a normal person?
You're right. It's this dichotomy that you have to understand before you even go into it. Like you have to understand your anonymity kind of goes away, right? Even if you 7:00 at night, you with your significant other and you at dinner, somebody can walk up to you like, "Hey, state rep, what's going on? I got a problem with that. I got a problem with
a legit, hey, fix this pothole."
Yeah, like I've been calling your office all week. Like, where you at? Right? And so the everyday person just having dinner with their significant other. So you have to know that going into it. You have to have one, tough skin, because people are going to be critical of you. Like if you have thin skin, this is not the profession for you, because people are going to push back. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time. Right. That's just the reality.
Sounds like comedy.
But he's being evaluated every day. Like,
I would give the same to a comedian. Like, you're not going to be liked.
And that's fine, though. That's fine. But you know that going into it. But it's almost like it's a 24/7 job. It's not a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's not a you clock in, you clock out, and then once you clock out, you're not the elected official no more.
Right.
And
like rum eating.
So it's tough to balance that, because then your personal life starts to become public if something happens, or people want to think they're closer to you than what they really are. If they see you, or if this probably happens to y'all too. They see y'all on social media, and then when they see you in public, they feel like there's this connection to you, and they know you, right? And so, but it's like I don't really know
we
you.
flipped that in our favor because we asked for shots of Henny.
True. Okay. Touche.
Now I don't know if you could do that. But I would vote for a state rep that's like, yo, I drink Henny.
We gave everybody the in, like, oh, you want to have a conversation? Here you go. That's it. But like, I feel like, when you get into politics, though, you get to a level where, like, motherfuckers might be digging through your trash type shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of shit I ain't never going to have to worry about. Nobody's ever going to love Dave Bracey enough to be, like, in his trash can or whatever. But, like, a politician gets into some shit or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so, that would freak me the fuck out.
Well, I think on a much smaller level, I guess you kind of if you're in college or you're in an organization, that you kind of get a little bit of that too, especially when the internet hit. When the internet hit, like we were in college when like social media started, like Facebook became a thing. Like people was digging through your laundry, like you know what I mean, being like I was visible on campus. And there's a lot of shit out about me that I didn't know. I meant
like literally digging through your
Well, I know.
Before trash day, they in there that night looking through.
Right, these don't have trash
pulling receipts and stuff.
Yeah, it's 2018. Ain't no trash no more. They going to your DMs, fam. That's where it goes down. Yo, Gotti made a song.
Checking your emails and stuff.
Exactly. Look what Russia did to us. This shit happens, man. Who's going through your trash anymore? Trying to see if you really a vegan. Like, you be talking all that healthy shit. Look at this.
Bacon scraps.
They got 1-ply tissue. Like, come on, man. 1-ply toilet paper. We can't vote for this, man.
He lying to the people. You know what I'm saying?
So now you're not originally from Pittsburgh. You're from Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm transplant.
So I find it interesting. Like, at what point did you decide, all right, I'm going to invest in local politics to any degree? Because I know, like, being a transplant myself, it was a long time before I was like, I'm gonna touch it because it was too real that I was a resident of this city. By being like in tune with politics is like you're really. Yeah, I mean, a Pittsburgher.
And feel free to, include how, having 6 championships in the city, added into that.
I know, man. Especially the one they gonna get this year, right?
See,
because the Eagles are still playing.
The Eagles, right? They play today.
Still in there.
So go ahead, take a jab at this man.
I cheer for the
Get
Eagles,
this man. Give him that work. Because I can never do it.
I was going to say, Cleve.
My team never. Yeah. They don't arm me with the tools.
So I'll say this, and I'll be transparent. I'll be real. When I first came to Pittsburgh, it was a challenge. It was a challenge because you're an outsider, and Pittsburgh, born and raised people, real territorial.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I appreciate that, and I respect that. So it took me a while to kind of build that respect and build that reputation here, even when I was at Pitt. But I always tell people, look, I'm here. I'm here now. You know what I mean? And I can't be punished or castigated for the fact that my parents decided to get married in Philly and raise me in Philly. You know what I'm saying? So judge me on my actions and what I've done, the things I can control. And I can control the things that have happened since I've been here in Pittsburgh. But I tell people, look, yeah, Philly raised me, but Pittsburgh has really made me the man that I am today.
Yeah, your entire adult life.
Yeah, I've been here in Pittsburgh, right? So I got an opportunity to have a great education. You know what I'm saying? At Pitt, I've always had gainful employment. You know what I mean? I've been able to, at the age of 27, I was a first-time homeowner. You know what I mean? Where I realized that in other places, other cities, you don't have that afforded to you.
Right. That's
not a reality. And so for me, I realized that Pittsburgh is my home now. You know what I mean? It is my home. You know, I got a 30-year mortgage, so I'm gonna be here for a while. I'm gonna be here for a while. So I need to be invested in what's going on around me, what's going on in my community, what's going on in society, and two, because there's always this false narrative that gets pushed around that young people don't care about what's going on. We're real self-centered. We're real focused on ourselves. We're not really paying attention to what's going on in society. And then even that within politics, you see a lot of people who are older in politics, people who are establishing their careers, mid-level careers. But the reality of it is they're making decisions that we're going to have to live with in 20 years. While they're retired and they're down, gone, we got to live with those decisions. So why not be at the table now and be part of that so that 20 years from now, we're still living with the decisions that we made versus living with decisions that somebody else made for us.
So what are, I think that, having transplants and like importing, black wealth and investment, is something that we need in the city.
Sure.
And it's an issue. It is uncomfortable to be a black man, in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Born and raised here it is, let alone being a transplant, especially from Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah, especially like Cleveland or Philly that has a more welcoming environment. So like, what do you believe? Since you've successfully transitioned, or some of the roadblocks that we face to importing, black, youth and investment. In some ways, we can get over those hurdles.
So I think it's a few things. I think even when I first came here, 12 years ago, 2006, the social scene for young people is gotten better over the past 2 years. But when I first got here, it was only really like one place to go. Like you just went to Savoy, you know what I'm saying? That was it. And so in other cities, you have options. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where that's not necessarily the case here in Pittsburgh. It's getting a little bit better. But also this thing about, attracting and retaining good young talent, especially young Black people, right? But with Pittsburgh, we have I would say we have Black middle class people, but we don't necessarily have a designated Black middle class neighborhood. Right, when you go to Philly, you go to Chicago, you go to some of these other places, Atlanta, Cleveland, okay. you kind of know where your people are at, right, and where the middle class people are. We don't necessarily have that created here, but it doesn't mean that we don't have middle class Black people. We don't necessarily have that neighborhood, but that's also a challenge of the opportunities and the access to opportunities, right, that don't necessarily exist for people of color. And one of the big issues that we're pushing with this campaign that we're hearing about a lot is this challenge of development and displacement coming to neighborhoods, right? Where you're having development come into a place like the East End and you see what's happening. People are getting pushed out. People feel like they're getting cleansed out of their own neighborhoods through the means of economics because they can't afford it anymore, right? And so if that's happening, Pittsburgh is a progressive city. Progressive is different for different people, but if Pittsburgh is a progressive city, you really want to be inclusive of everybody that's in it, and it's kind of moving and shifting in a direction where I don't want to be here in 10 years and we have the same challenges of half the people living like the Jetsons, the other half living like the Flintstones, right? If that keeps happening, you're not going to attract nobody to come here. Nobody's going to want to live here if they don't feel welcomed. They don't feel like they can be a part of it. They have access to jobs and opportunities. They don't have access to, if you move in the city, they want to make sure there's good schools because they want to start a family, send their kids to good schools. So all this stuff, I tell people, and part of the reason why I want to run for office is because I get to kind of have my hands on all these different things, right? So all of these things are, these social opportunities and economic opportunities are interconnected and they're reinforcing, right? So you talk about housing is a big issue and crisis here in Pittsburgh, but you can't talk about housing and not talk about the education system because you can build all these great houses, but nobody going to move into it if they got to send their kids to schools that aren't doing well, right? So you have to understand how those things are connected to each other. And so I think it takes, leadership and somebody that understands how to connect those dots to be able to make that happen.
Now, so with the 19th district, what neighborhoods does that cover?
It's a lot.
And then what sort of diversity issues have you seen in those neighborhoods that you want to attack?
So it has neighborhoods like the Hill District, uptown, downtown. Go over to the north side. It has Manchester, Central North Side, Mexican War Streets.
So they say.
Parts of Brighton Heights, Perry View, South, Fine View. Then go back over to the south side. Over here has Beltsuver, Knoxville, Allentown, Arlington Heights, and then all of Hazelwood, and then parts of
Hazelwood too.
All of Hazelwood, parts of South and West Oakland and Oak Hill.
You have a full plate with
that.
I
was gonna say. So it's about 60 to 65,000 people that live in the district. It crosses all the bridges. It's a very diverse and eclectic district. So you have, affluent areas like downtown or Central North Side, but then you have areas that are struggling like, the Hill District or parts of Homewood.
Man, I went through the Hill the other day. They got a couple streets that look real good right now.
No, they do. So
good.
So that's the thing that the neighborhoods like the Hill are dealing with is how do you develop place and develop people at the same time?
Right.
That's a complex thing to do because you want your neighborhoods to look a certain way, catch up to the 21st century, but you also don't want to leave people behind because they can't afford to live. You know what I'm saying? So that's the everyday struggle and balance is how do you create these neighborhoods, but also make sure that the people who were there during the hard times and struggling can also be part of that new growth and that new birth.
Yeah, they should be able to benefit from it. It shouldn't be moved out because it's happening.
Exactly.
So now how do you navigate with the different demographics within, attacking a Hill District may be different than what you would do for a downtown. So how do you navigate that? Like, how does that even become a district? Like Beltsuver to Hill District to the North Side. How does that even map out?
With the way that they do the mapping, they have to be continuous lines. So if you got to go over to the North Side, and this district has been a majority-minority district for a long time. Okay. So majority, Black, I'm saying, African American. So if it has the Hill District and it has to go over to the North Side where there's Black people, you got to go through downtown to kind of get to it. So that's kind of why it has it in there. But for me, it's understanding the neighborhood. It's being able to talk to people, understand what the issues are. Yeah, the issues and challenges in downtown are going to be different because you got a lot of business people who they care about making sure their business is doing what it needs to do, versus you have people in the community, in the neighborhoods, that want to make sure the neighborhoods are safe. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they don't want to have crime in there. Or they want to make sure that the schools are good, right? So it's about having a real sense and a pulse of what's going on in those communities. But you can't have that if you're not talking to people, right? If you're not having conversations with them, if you're not actually dealing with the community stakeholders, if you're dealing with the nonprofit organizations that are providing the services on an everyday basis that know what's really going on, right? As an elected official with all those neighborhoods, like I live on the north side, I live in Manchester. Mm-hmm. So me living in Manchester, even if I go over to other neighborhoods and other communities, I only get to see it in one type of light, in one type of time frame, right? If I go in the daytime, that neighborhood might look a lot different than it does in the daytime than it does at nighttime, right? And so I need to be able to be connected to those people in those other communities and say, hey, what's really going on? What's the challenges when I'm not here? You know what I'm saying? When I'm not there on an everyday basis, because I lay my head down in Manchester, right? So it's just about being plugged in. It's about being connected to the community. It's about being able to use the platform. Then once you know what's going on, use the platform to push policies, to push programs, and to push initiatives that's actually going to be responsive to what the people need. But you got to meet people where they are. You know what I'm saying? You got to meet people where they are and not feel like, and this is the same thing with I always learned in social work, is just because you have a title, you have a profession, or you have this degree, you know what I'm saying? You can't approach it as if you're the practitioner and I'm here to help you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm the professional, I'm going to tell you what you need. Right. Like that's the wrong approach to community development.
Oh yeah, they're terrible social work. If you're telling people what they need, you got to listen.
But that's the first thing. But some people think I got this degree now. Yeah. I'm going to tell people like this is what I learned from my textbook. Yeah, that's not how it works in the real world. Right?
No, you got to listen first. Yeah. I mean, you got to listen before you lead. I mean,
absolutely.
That's you know.
How do you listen to all these motherfuckers and go home to your fiance? Like that's got to be a lot of listening during your day. Like listen, man, I commend you for that, because if I listen that motherfucking much throughout the day,
tapped out.
Wifey not getting no attention. You know what I mean? I'm about to turn on this. I'm about to turn on something and just sit there.
And that happens a lot, like in social work. Like social workers get burnt out and like they don't have anything to give to their family. So like, they might be amazing social workers or whatever, but like at home they're almost zombies. You know what I mean? Like they drink, they like they sometimes develop pretty bad habits because they don't have that I feel there should be some break or like a cap or something. You know what I mean, in that field, because
self-care is important. Yeah, self-care is very important because you can get burnt down social work and politics, and a lot of times social workers they will bring that. They experience a lot of trauma. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, from the clients that they deal with. Sometimes they bring that home. Unfortunately, they bring that home and they put it on their spouse or their kids, and you know what I'm saying, and it causes a really challenging and tough situation. So for me, it's about being able to separate the two and knowing when to, not now. My fiance has a really good listening ear, so she understands when I come home that sometimes I gotta get something off my chest. I can say things to her that I can't say in public or to other people. You know what I mean, that I don't want to say, and she will take that in. Now, sometimes she might be, watching Netflix or Hulu while I'm doing it, but at least I feel like somebody's listening to me. Yeah. But I would never put too much on her that I know that she can't handle, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? She has her own nonprofit organization where she provides feminine hygiene products to women and girls who were in need, homeless women and girls who were in need.
Y'all the Pittsburgh Obamas. Okay, we got something real on the couch.
I mean, that's kind of how we came together, was just through our service. You know what I mean? I was working, in philanthropy, and I was giving out grants to nonprofit organizations, and I came across her organization. It's like, yo, I've never seen anybody who really gave attention to this type of issue. Like, you don't necessarily always think about, especially as a guy, like women who need feminine hygiene products. That's a basic need that they have, right? Yeah. And so she kind of stepped up to the plate and provided and created this nonprofit organization that said, we're going to take donations of pads and tampons, and we're going to go into the schools. We're going to pass them out to the young ladies. We're going to go to the homeless shelters. And so I was like, that's a great cause. You know what I mean?
You know what? At the homeless, I never even thought about that. Like at the homeless shelter, they might not have that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so for me, she kind of, so it's easy for me to kind of have the conversations with her because she gets it. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I get when she talks about the challenge that she is trying to get people to care about this issue, and people are like, that's not a high priority for us. But this a basic need. It's like water and food. You know what I'm saying? For us, for guys, but for women, that's a regular part of their life. And so it's not getting highlighted the way that she would want it to be highlighted, but it's necessary. And so we can have those conversations like offline back at the crib because we get it. Our lives are focused around service.
No, that relationship is going far because if I came home with just a big ass box of tampons, I don't know.
My living room right now has donations of pads and tampons just sitting there. I'm like stepping over them, I'm like, okay.
He never hosts a fight party. This man sit on the couch, pull a pad from under his ass, like, what the hell?
Invite you over. You can sit on the porch. we gonna sit on the porch.
You watching Netflix with his lady. She pull a pad out. Like, wait a minute, this ain't my brand. You're like, no, babe, that was donated. Remember, I had the box sitting over there. Who you had in the house?
Oh yeah, tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we at some point it was going to devolve into hilarity. Like
it's
gonna happen. So, what are some of the lifestyle changes that you've noticed with yourself? Just now that you're a public figure in this atmosphere, like I'm looking at you got on the the politician's casual uniform right now. You got the
I didn't want to wear the suit.
Collar.
Yeah, I didn't want to wear the suit.
Well, that's the casual joint. That's when they be going like to the labor unions,
or
when they
to the senior centers or something like that.
Yeah. So, like, what have you noticed in yourself?
So I think I'm much more self-aware and conscious of my public image and how I portray that. Not just on social media, but literally when I'm literally walking out in public, even if I'm going to the grocery store.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you go to the grocery store, you throw your sweats on, you looking a little.
Yeah.
But for me, I understand that, one, I meet a lot of young people, right? And a lot of times when I go to their schools, I'll see them at the grocery store. You know what I mean? And they bump into me and they remember me. And I think that we should always be a model to the best we can. Well, nobody's perfect, but be a model of behavior, especially for young people, because you never know who's looking. You never know who's watching you and what influence you can have on them.
Like, you literally never know who's watching.
You never know. So I'm always trying to be. I'm always, sometimes to a fault, self-conscious of what I'm doing, who I'm surrounding myself with, where I'm going, what I'm doing when I'm at those places, and kind of who's around me, right? And so I'm always kind of mindful of my image and my reputation, because at the end of the day, all I got is my reputation. You know what I'm saying? I carry my name on my back. My dad always told me growing up, every time I walk out this door, I represent not just myself, I represent this whole family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I go out in the street and I'm doing some crazy stuff, it don't just impact me. People's gonna start spreading rumors about how poorly my parents raised me. You know what I mean? So I don't want to embarrass my parents. You know what I'm saying? So for me, every time I step out that house, I'm mindful of it's bigger than just me. I represent myself, my family, my loved ones. And so if I'm fortunate enough to get elected, now I represent 65,000 more people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to always be mindful of being a model of positive image for other people.
You had to do away with the sweats to the grocery store? Man, I just got into sweats. I
know. I got back into sweats like that dancing.
I still wear them. But you know what always happens, though? When you out there looking crazy, you always run into somebody you know. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if you ran into somebody that you know from work, that's a big deal. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you just get better sweats.
Get the good quality ones. Get the good quality.
Sweat game. Like,
I try to keep. Yeah, now you got to rock the polo sweats.
Oh man, I can't afford
or
it.
the slim. Oh yeah, I guess you can't do that.
But then you got to be able to afford it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I mean, look, man, if Fetterman is out here doing it, then
real casual. I rocks with him because he's himself all the time. Like, he don't
he's
care.
Mad cash, man.
He like take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? Take it or leave it.
If I ever got to, I would. I'd have to be a take it or leave it dude. So I know sometimes that shave ain't happening today. Like.
You can't do that. You can't not shave if you're here.
Well, I'm very fortunate that this is as much as it gets. It's 29 years, and this is it. I've been growing this for 29 years.
You are highly fortunate, man.
Baby
razors are expensive.
But see, both of y'all got the advantage over me. Like, you're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but you're polarized. You get full facial hair, you can do the goatee. I get this like weird in between chin strap, almost beard shit, like where I gotta keep it, man. Like I have to go to the barbershop every week because I can't just shave because I can't shave it all off. It's, you know what I mean? Like I got.
See, but mine grows, but when it does start to grow in, it grows in patchy.
That's
It's
Benny
not
Siegel.
smooth. It don't look good, so I gotta keep it. I just gotta keep it low.
You from Philly? You got the Siegel syndrome.
I mean, I wish I could have my freeway. You know what I'm saying? I want a freeway. I want the freeway.
Well,
but
he freeway over there.
yeah, I can't get it.
So how do you feel about campaign reform and term limits? Because I mean, there's a lot of big money out there, and like you said, people get into it and they get to campaigning, and then they become perpetually, in the campaign mode, trying to like keep their job or whatever, and then you have, the big money kind of squeezing out the ability for some folks, to get their voice out, or even for, basically buying votes and whatnot. And it's so tough to like get that through, because basically the people that have that ability would basically be voting against themselves. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to vote to eventually end my job and like, not be able to take some of this money in.
Like,
who's going to do that? So, yeah, I mean, like, how do you feel about that going in?
So here's my thing, and this is when I talked about earlier, the politics of politics that I don't necessarily care for. It's that big money stuff. Now us, we real grassroots. We ain't got a whole lot of money behind us, but we got good ideas and good issues. Our vision is a vision that the people want. But one of the reasons things that stop people, prohibit people from even being interested in running for office, is because they realize it's going to cost a lot of money. You know what I mean? And even things like trying to get endorsements, people don't realize that you got to pay to be even qualified to get the endorsement. Wow. You know what I mean? So that's money that you could have been spending on the people, right? So it is a lot of money that needs to be taken out of politics, because it stops good people, from actually having an opportunity to get into these offices. But people who are already in office, they want to keep the money in there because they know they can stop people from going up against them. Because the reality of it is, a lot of times to get your message out there, it costs money. You got to send mailers, you got to do all these type of things. That's real expensive, right? And so for me, I want to reform that. I want to kind of get that, because then you have, special interest groups that will give to a candidate, and then they have all this money, and then when they get office, they're voting for those special interests versus voting for the interests of the people, right? And then it gets real murky, right? So that's a challenge. And then also, I completely support term limits. I think that, when people get in office for so long, they get real comfortable. They get to understand the system so well that they learn how to manipulate it for their own advantage, and that's not good for people. Right. And so, I think people should be in office for a certain amount of time, do their due diligence, do their job, and then make way for some new ideas and some new blood. You know what I mean? And so that's something that is again, going to be hard to push, because like you said, you got people who are in office currently got to vote for that. They got to vote themselves out of a job. You know what I mean? So, but my thing is, if you're that good at what you do, like, there's other offices that you can hold. Like, you can run for a higher office, or you can run for something else. But you eventually become part of the problem when you become part of the system for so long, and you manipulate it in a way that is not advantageous for the people that you're supposed to represent. If you're in that seat for so long, you're in that role, you don't get to see the ground up anymore as much. You know what I mean? Like, because you're always behind these doors or whatever, and you're only seeing the most prominent of the problems that come to you. And that's all you know.
It's all you know. So you don't get to see the new shit that's coming up from behind there. And like, to be honest, you don't even care if you're just thinking about how am I going to keep my job. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's hard for you to start to really see those realities, because it's like, the saying, if the only tool you have in your toolkit is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Yeah. Right. And so all you know how to do is just do this one thing. Yeah. And you know what I'm saying?
They got all the quotes.
Yeah.
but
all the quotes.
But that's real. So you only have a one track kind of mind, and then you get away from what your original core purpose was for when you ran the first time. Yeah. Right. And you get away from it. And so, once you start to only see everything like a nail, you got to get out of it. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, that's again, we were saying, in social work or whatever, like, you get into that, like, eventually, you're that mindset, it wears on you. You know what I mean? Right. Like, being, like you said, being a public figure, always having to like be on edge in some way, shape, or form, and like that hyper awareness that like that you describe or whatever. Like, man, I can't imagine people that like do that for like a whole lifetime. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, especially, and then even rising and getting bigger and bigger and whatnot. So. You figure a 20-year, 30-year, 40-year congressman, like, man, like, what is you doing up there? Like,
Yeah, and just speaking as a civilian, like I can't, and I guess I would ask you this: like, how many or how often do you see a truly selfless politician? Like, because their livelihood is dependent on this as well. Like, yes, they may have some initiatives that they want to support or some things that they want to get done, but they also got to feed their family. He's a homeowner, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm looking as a civilian. I'm looking like, yeah. He looking at it like a job. He trying to come up like I'm trying to come up. Like I'm in comedy, I'm trying to come up. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna play the game. Like I'm gonna talk to a club owner that I don't necessarily like, but I'm gonna send him a tweet. I'm gonna LOL his tweet or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't really rock with him, and I'm sure some of that is a part of that game. And
playing the game. Yeah.
I mean, just being true to yourself, but still having those aspirations, got to be tough to maneuver.
Yeah, it's politics will challenge your moral compass on a regular basis, and I tell people a lot of times with politics, you have to do a lot of compromising, right? Mm-hmm. You have to build relationships and do some compromising, but that's fine as long as you don't compromise yourself in the process. If you don't give up who you are and what you believe in and what you stand for and your morals. But my thing is there are good elected officials. I know sometimes we dehumanize politicians, elected officials as if they're, different. Right. By the end of the day, yeah, they got families, they got lives just like everybody else. And it's like any profession though, right? It's just like police, it's just like firefighters, just like lawyers, just like social workers, comedians. Like you have your good people you have your good, y'all are professionals. Professional ain't, to me, it ain't about a degree, it ain't about nothing. It's about being proficient at your craft.
Nah, we got the cosign, from a state rep or an aspiring state rep. So now I feel real official.
Y'all are proficient at what y'all do. So y'all are professionals.
The Matumbo episode.
Wagging the finger. But no, just like all those professions, you meet comedians, I'm sure, that just aren't really good people. Not that they're not good comedians.
Well, I won't say any names.
You won't say names. But it's the same thing in politics. Like there's some people who shouldn't be in it, but there are also a lot of good people who don't get the credit for being good people. Just like police officers get a bad rap.
Yeah, I mean,
and there's good cops out there.
Fuck the police, but I mean, like I
don't know if we can say that on this podcast.
I'm always gonna endorse this man. He does not endorse that saying. This is a Dave Bracey saying. I coined the term "fuck the police." It's copyrighted, trademarked, but I do with that I do understand that there are some good police. Yeah. I mean, my dad was a police officer. You know what I mean? Like, and like he was a good cop. You know what I mean? Like, but he's still in a bad system. You see what I'm saying? And like that is, and it's the people that are in that system that aren't speaking out against their brothers in that same system. Mm-hmm. Then that is, where you're seeing, and that's what, when you're looking at politics or the media or any group of people that are villainized, like from the people, it's not just the bad people there. It's the good people that aren't, like kind of speaking up in that sense. And you like you said, it gets murky as you get to, like into the politics because, where do you say take a loss in order for a bigger picture? You know what I mean? Where do you kind of like, what is giving up your morals? What is that? What does that mean when, like you're looking at a long game, you know what I mean? Like a bigger picture or whatever. Like there are those sacrifices, like so in what you do, like where do you, I would imagine like, your fiance and like your family or whatever, but like where do you find that core? You know what I mean? Like when like, all right, this is who I am and this isn't who I am. You know what I mean?
So it's about, being able to kind of see what everything that's on the table and saying, look, at the end of the day, in good conscience, can I really support this initiative that I know is not going to be is going to hurt my people, right? But within that, a lot of times there's negotiating, there's compromise, and so if you see the bigger picture and say, okay, what can I do to get something back that's actually going to be beneficial to my people, and you got to be able to weigh that. But my thing is, no matter what decision that I ever make, I will always be able to come back to my district and explain why I made that decision. Like that's why I said not everybody's going to like you. There's going to be some decision that you make that some people are going to say, yo, that was effed up. Like I don't really rock with that. Can you explain why you did that? But I will never have an issue come back and saying, look, this is the reason why I did it. This is what happened. This was what was on the table, and we took what we could get. And at the end of the day, the bigger picture is this is what's going to happen on the back end. You know what I'm saying? I always tell people that it's almost like when construction comes to your neighborhood or your community, people complain about it because then it's like, I got to go around the way to get to work and it's slowing my time. But you got to sometimes be able to, on the front end, take some opportunities that are uncomfortable to in the long end to be able to get the benefit. Like right now, you're upset because there's construction on your street, but in 2-3 months,
Man,
that street's going to be completely paved. It's going to be great.
You better be happy that you can afford construction.
It's like
in
sometimes
America
there's an
these
inconvenience
days.
on the front end.
Yeah.
You got to be able to sacrifice a little bit of inconvenience on the front end to get that bigger picture goal of convenience for the long term on the back end.
Yeah, infrastructure is a bitch in America, and if they're working on your street, you better be happy that somebody's working on that street. There's a lot of streets that don't get
invested in.
Invested in at all. Now, I do think that it can be much more efficient than what it is.
I was about to say, because what happens in Pittsburgh, and maybe so now we're gonna have to hit you with these real hard-hitting questions. So why is it in Pittsburgh that they fix a pothole here and then they create a pothole up the street? So they basically on the same street for 2 years.
They be out there for months.
They do.
Like, I'm like, yo, it's blocked off. I ain't seen a motherfucker out here for like a couple days. Like, what is it? What's going on here?
Or you see them in certain neighborhoods and not others. And it's but it's about priorities. But it goes back to the politics of it. When people. This is what the elected officials do. After every election, when they win, they go back and they look at the votes. They look at the districts and the wards, and they say, what district came out the most? Like, what neighborhood came out the most and voted the most?
You want your streets fixed?
Yeah,
go out and vote. Register your streets.
Okay. This is something they don't tell you. Like, this is some insider stuff that they don't tell you. As the next day, the first thing they do is they look at the numbers. What districts, what neighborhoods came out the most? I'm going to be responsive to those neighborhoods first.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Because I know I got to run for office in another 2-4 years, so I know this neighborhood votes. I need their support. I'm gonna fix their street.
Put your city on the map. Put your street on the map. I'm like that little dot up.
That's why I tell people it's important to come out and vote because elected officials are responsive to that. So if they know your neighborhood doesn't come out and vote anyway, they're probably not going to show up to your community events and things like that because it's like y'all don't support me anyway. I ain't got time to be in 10 different neighborhoods at once. Yeah. If I can only be at 10 different neighborhoods in one day, I'm only going to go to these 4 because these 4 really support me. Right. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to they look at the numbers and say this neighborhood actually came out and voted. Oh shoot, I got to start paying attention to them. Yeah. I got to make sure that they streets get paved or their snow gets removed and stuff like that.
So, what are some of the ways that like the youth are getting involved? Like, I guess like apps, technology, and whatnot. Say if like they just wanted to look up. Like, look you up, look up their state rep, look up their mayor, look up their,
that's all online.
Like what are some of the, like some apps or like some of the online
how do we
tools?
make it trendy?
Yeah, like what are some of the tools that like the kids could be like, all right, because I feel like there should be some sort of like government app that you could
politicking
pull up
with swag.
like you could just pull it up and be like, oh shit, let me see what my local rep or whatever, and just have like a fee because everything's being
giving
like,
away money right now.
Yeah, they're
giving away money. What you need to do is link up with one of these CMU students, or you come to Pitt as well.
Hey, CMU, holla at your boy, man. I got some but like just pop it up and be like, yo, what is my state rep doing? Or what did he vote on this week? What did she vote on this week? What are some of the issues that are going up like in the next couple of months? Like,
so one of my big things with my campaign is modernizing government. Mm-hmm. I think that it's government is created and was designed to be a slow moving process.
It's slow. I've worked for the government.
If you ever waiting for the government to solve your problems and your issues in a fast pace, you're gonna have some gray hairs.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. It's gonna take a while.
In a minute though,
right?
They seal you that bill in a hot second.
They want days on the 15th.
That's true.
They send you bills you don't even expect. Like, you send me a bill because my steps is fucked up. Like,
but it's about trying to modernize it, right? And so in Pennsylvania, they now have started to, and they just started this in the past like 4 years or so. You can, which other states have already done, you can now register to vote online. Like where in the past you had to fill out the paper. You know what I'm saying?
Like why is it like so? It's from what I understand, it's a state by state thing, right?
Yeah,
like
states have different rules and laws on how to do it.
Can't you just make registration automatic like they do in other countries? I mean, like if it's our right to vote, why do I have to go and sign and do all this extra shit? in order for me to go.
He can't
vote.
say it's to stop some people from voting.
I can't say that because
Okay,
that's what's real.
say it.
There's some people who are in power that don't want you to come out to vote. So when the numbers are low, they are clapping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're throwing parties that people didn't come out to vote because for them, a lot of those people will come out and vote against them. So they want to suppress the vote.
Oh yeah, that's why we're gerrymandering like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why the shit is cut up the way it's cut up, because it's like, let's put them over here and then let's securities over here, and it looks like a goddamn like a
crazy town. Yeah,
Rubik's cube. You know what I mean? Like,
but I want to get back to your original question about the bringing the young people into it, right? And so if you look at any real social movement over history, there was always young people were involved with it, right? And when I talk to young people, I always tell them, look, when you look at the civil rights era and you look at how the young people were involved in it, right? And you look at everything that they were able to accomplish in that time period, going up against all those challenges that they had, like we have just about all the tools that they had available to them. Plus now we also have social media. Yeah. Like imagine if they had Twitter and Facebook and all those type of things back then in the 50s and 60s, what they could have been able to push and get done.
Well, we wouldn't have had computers.
no.
we would have had computers.
No, that we would have been against the law.
True.
To own it, like have our Wi-Fi.
That's true. But imagine with me, if you will. Imagine with me. I'm sorry. I apologize. But imagine with me, right? So now the young people have access to social media where they can organize via social media. You can organize via Facebook. You can Facebook groups, Twitter, pop up things. You know what I'm saying? You can tell people, hey, we're meeting up at this point at this time. Everybody show up, put a tweet out, and everybody follows.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers be showing up and shit. Like it was the Women's March or whatever. Like the way that spreads.
It's like, where did you hear about it? I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah,
I saw it. It popped up on my timeline. So I showed up.
Babe, we marching tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean,
clear the schedule, man. We going out to March. Clear the schedule.
Yeah, that's how people make their schedules from social media. Like a lot of people make their schedules. Like that's why Facebook has that whole events calendar and shit like that. Like people really look at that, and like you were involved with the Pizza Milano protest. Like that spread on social media like crazy.
Absolutely.
And you had the live videos and stuff like that. It's crazy. You can just like watch a protest live from someone who's there. Like
and see it like as it's happening.
I
mean,
just sitting there on your sofa.
Yeah, I mean it has its positive negatives. I mean, like for people that can't, show up. I mean, we don't always have the ability to call off work and hop into a protest and whatnot. But at the same time, like it does give those people that are that access to see that from afar and like as it's happening or whatever. But at the same time, you do have the motherfuckers that are just like, I watched it, and and like they feel like they've been involved because they they clicked the like. You know what I mean? Like so it's that double-edged sword of access and like too much access. You know what I mean? Like feeling like you were actually there and not actually like being there and whatnot. But we utilize technology heavily as a comedian and as artists or whatever across the spectrum. Our careers wouldn't be possible 20, 30 years ago. I mean, without the technology. So what are some of the ideas that you have that with your campaign and modernizing and whatnot?
So I would love to get Pennsylvania to a point. Like I said, there's online voter registration, but I would also like to see it get same day registration, right? Which basically means that on election day you can register. Like right now, it's a couple of weeks before there's a deadline. Like if you don't register to vote by this deadline before the election, you can't vote in that election. But you should be able to say you just moved to Pittsburgh within that time frame, but you or you just never registered to vote. Like on election day, you should be able to come out and be part of democracy and say, hey, I live here. I should be able to vote on what's going on. So you should be able to register and vote that same day. Also, I would love to, and this is kind of my my sort of out there kind of idea is, it's a little far-fetched, but I would love to be able to see to a point where we can do online voting. You know what I mean? Where you can do secure, mobile, online voting for who you, because you can online vote for certain things. It would be very difficult because you have to make it real secure. Oh yeah. But for some people can't get up and make it to the polls, right? Some people, they're busy lives or they're out of town or, emergency comes up and they can't vote that day. So as we're on our phones almost, 8, 12 hours a day. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So if I can just pull up my app and say, I'm going to vote for this person and vote for them and keep moving with my day, like make it a little bit more convenient and easy
yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
That would definitely participation would
Will
go
go up.
Yeah.
It would go up.
I mean,
Yeah,
people to just feel cool, just do it to feel cool. They would participate. You know what I mean?
You figure, I mean, like, you know, and that's another question, like, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of techniques for voter suppression, and like the fact that we don't have the day off is huge to me. I'm like, we vote on the same week as Veterans Day.
And
You know what I mean?
some
Like,
bosses
we
don't
have
even let you leave the office.
Yeah,
You
we
like,
have a
go
day
vote?
off that week. Like we have a day off that week. Like how, you know, with that, I mean, you wouldn't need the day off. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I guess that would be a step to changing that. But like, you know, is there any hope for getting a day off for like voting day? Like, is that something that is even on anybody's like radar?
Not that I heard, not that I know, I'm aware of, not that I've heard of, but you know, there are other things that people have been talking about to make it more convenient for the everyday citizen in terms of thinking about not just voting, but even people who try to get that have license issues. Right. You know what I'm saying? The DMV, the times that they're open is like 8 to 4 or something like that. Oh. So if you get off work at 5, you can't even go down there. Or if you got to be at work at 8 or even at 9, you don't got time to be. You can't get there at 8. Sometimes you're there for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. You got to go to work, right? So even thinking about how the government puts things like the DMV and PennDOT, the timing of it, it's not convenient for everyday people. It's convenient for the people that work there, but it ain't convenient for everybody, right? Or even thinking about opening it up on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Like have it open on Saturday or Sunday. You know what I mean? When people aren't working. Yeah. Like now that goes back to an issue of, well, then you got to pay people for it, but it's worth it. It's worth it. You got to
collecting all these fees. I'm registering this car every year as if this car wasn't the same car last year. Like, you know what I mean, I got to get these inspections and all that. You can pay somebody.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's about modernizing it to make it more convenient for people's everyday busy lives. People live really complex, busy lives. They don't got time to be sitting at the DMV for 4 hours to get their license renewed because they got to be at work. And if they get off work at 5, the DMV is closed. Yeah. So what do you do? So let's figure out how we can make it more accommodating for everyday residents.
Yeah, man. Look, y'all got an app y'all need to work on. You know, if the state rep thing don't work out, create the app. You know, be the change that you want to see. No doubt.
True.
So for those listening who are not familiar or listen through, like what would you like to leave them with as far as, you know, why they should get up, vote period one, and vote for you for, you know, 19th District State Rep?
Yeah, so I tell people all the time, I am a social worker once again, and I'm just like everybody else, right? I want to see good quality education in the communities. I want to see development come to the communities that's responsible. I want to see good transportation. I want to see healthy, safe neighborhoods. I want to see all that stuff. So right now, I tell people I'm on the sideline, right? And they're the coach. They get to put me in the game so I can do the things that everybody wants. And so my belief is that the vision that we're pushing for the district and looking to raise expectations of our elected officials, that's a vision that's going to resonate with people, because we have issues and things that everybody else cares about, right? But you know, I always tell people, look, at the end of the day, like, don't get discouraged. Don't get disappointed by all the stuff that you see on TV. You look at what's going on, you watch CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, you see what's happening at the federal level. Like, don't get discouraged by that, because we have an opportunity to step up to the plate and affect change at a local level. And this is that opportunity, right? So I tell people, stay motivated, stay encouraged, stay inspired to be able to see Pittsburgh and this region, not just for what it is today, but more importantly, what we want it to be tomorrow and into the future. And so, you know, anybody who lives in those neighborhoods that I mentioned earlier, you know, the election is May 15th. And I tell people a vote for Aerion Abney is a vote for your future.
Willie Beeman put him in the game.
See, that's what you get these young politicians in, man. You get the swag, you get the understanding, you know what I mean? The proficiency is still there.
That is, hell yeah, man. I'm about to move to the 19th district.
Come on, man. We welcome you.
Yeah, I can cast my vote, man. That's dope.
So now where can they find information on your campaign or online or anything like that?
Yep. So we do have a website. It's www.votearionabney.com. I'm going to spell it out because I know my name is not regular.
Yeah, spell that.
So www.votearionabney.com. I know it's a little complicated.
Well, we've been messing up the .coms, .net.
Yeah,
okay. He was like, wait, am I a com?
.net, .org, is this nonprofit? What's going on?
Just slash this
HTML, HTTP, : So that's the website. I'm on Facebook. If you just search Aerion Andrew Abney, that's my full name, AAA all day. You just look me up and you'll find my political page, and then I'm on Twitter, AAA2, and on Instagram, atypical_.
Nice.
Triple A all day.
AAA all
I remember
day.
the major figures was EA all day. That's that Philly coming out of. I know. See that Philly, it come out a little bit every now and again.
You can't suppress
man.
it too much.
Yo, man, it's fine. I've finally reached the age where politicians are speaking my language. It's a wild
It's
day.
really cool. Really
It's a
cool. It's a
wild
youth
day.
movement in that too, man. We got, we got Marita out in
Yeah,
Wilkinsburg.
shout out
Hopefully
to
we
the
get you
mayor.
out the 19th. Yeah,
the mayor of Wilkinsburg.
Yeah, man. We're actually gonna have her on too, so I'm excited about that. I gotta get my questions up, get my inquiries up. They let the people know where they can find us.
Man, if you're looking for us, you can find us at Arcade Comedy Theater on February 17th with Jeff Conkle and PA Libations. You can find us on February 24th down at Comtra Theater, and every last Saturday of the month. You can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod.
Hey, we want to thank our guests, man, Aerion Abney, for coming through, dropping that knowledge on us, man. You make me want to get more educated about, the political system, especially local politics. Out here, affect change. I think that to summarize the podcast, like affect change, man.
Yeah.
Get out here, get your voice heard, have a seat at the table with AAA.
I like that. Hey.
See, now I gave him a little something.
Hey.
Put me on the staff. Put me on the staff, man. I could be like the swag instructor, man. Like, you know what I mean? But we want to thank you for coming out and sitting down with us, man.
Thank
I know
you for
you're a
having me.
busy guy,
Appreciate
you know what I mean? And keep doing what you do, man. It's good to see you.
doubt.
Again, I have a personal stake in what's going on, just having seen you and seen the growth. So I appreciate you coming and spending time with us. As always, Drinking Partners is the crew. Epicast is the family. Did I fuck that up too? Nope. We out of here. The crew, I said crew and it didn't seem like it went there.
No, you good.